Hello, this is Vart, and today I wanted to bring you a new segment about Guild Wars. Now, I am not an expert at Guild Wars by any means. This is all actually coming from the Pants of Horus guild, the Night Lords, who is undoubtedly the best war guild in Pants of Horus. They gave me permission to use some of their gathered knowledge and teach everyone some of the war mysteries in order to increase enthusiasm and engagement of this part of Tacticus. The goal of this segment is to break down each map used in Guild Wars, as they all have very specific tips and tricks to it that you can utilize to your advantage and get an extra edge on both offense and defense. And when something is easier, it tends to be more fun, so let's have fun. The first map to look at is what the Night Lords call the Three Bridges map. Now, at the top you see the C1_37, and when you look at the data mines, this is how it is categorized. But anyway, the Three Bridges. You've got the defensive starts on top and the offensive at the bottom, and you know which is defensive because of the numbers. When Night Lords or Red Corsairs, when they publish their maps, you will always see these numbers for the defensive part, because that is the order in which the defensive lineups will activate. What I mean by that is, when you set your defensive lineups, the number from 1 through 5 correlate to the space for each unit as well as the turn order they will go. This is accurate for turn 1 with a couple of exceptions, and after that, the AI kind of prioritizes turn order for whichever unit has the least amount of options in order to make sure they all can do something every turn. In general though, 1 through 5, that's the order that they'll go. Now, when you're looking at the Three Bridges maps, there are a few points that are useful to note, the most important of which is the presence of this flanking barbed wire. Some units will avoid it, and they'll funnel in towards the center, which provides a lot of room for your units to operate, but many times they'll actually go and step on the barbed wire. So when you're setting your defensive lineups, you want to prioritize in that number 1 slot units that are either very tanky and they have Terminator armor and they can really tank any one shot they get despite being on barbed wire, like Toth, or units with a self-revive or units with unstoppable or fly, so they won't get caught up in the wire and take that extra 50% damage. In addition, because this is a small map, Deep Strike is actually more effective here. In general, we recommend avoid deep strike units because they tend to just jump ahead and get themselves into trouble and die. But with a smaller map like this, the other units can follow pretty quickly behind, so you won't be left alone. So if you do a deep strike unit, such as Rask, you can put him in the 5 slot. Units 1 through 4 will go first, he'll deep strike in, and probably provide a pretty hefty shield to most of your team. In addition, because of the choke points on this map, tanks tend to do pretty well. Tanks with the healer, of course, and a long-range unit or two in the back, so one of your classic Death Guard with show lineups does very well defensively here, but to be honest, that's a defensive lineup that tends to do well in most maps. So you can use the peculiarities of this map to develop a defensive team and save your best team that's pretty much good everywhere for another map that's harder to defend. Now, offensive strategies. I personally hate this map because I always get stuck behind the bridges and never know what to do and die. But we can take what we know about the positioning of the defensive team into account. Most people forget or don't even realize that there's barbed wire here on the flank. So if there's a vulnerable unit there, especially a high priority one that gets caught up by the barbed wire, go ahead, run forward, focus him down. For instance, a lot of people will put Ragnar in the number 1 slot because then he can howl and activate the rest of the team, but for some reason he really likes to step on the wire first. So if you can get to him, you can kill him before he can howl and buff the rest of his team. Or if a healer such as Isabella gets stuck there, you can go ahead and take them out right away and make the rest of the fight a 4v5. The other way that the AI can move the units is to actually funnel them into the middle, and sometimes that can be useful because you can focus the front line with your entire team and take some out. And then the last really effective offensive option is just turtle at the bridges and put some tanks there and some healers to hold them down while you have some more aggressive units strike from behind like a Celestine to take out their high priority squishy units, so a healer, a show, something like that. So in general, this map favors high mobility the most, but turtling can also work okay too. So that's it. Huge thank you to Night Lords for providing me a lot of this information. I was able to run it all past their best war minds, and I really appreciate that opportunity. I learn a lot every time I talk to them. So if you liked this content, please like, subscribe, and come check us out on Discord. We will see you there.